porque já está no norte, pode chegar no dia.
Ok. No problem.
Se quiser fazer um cartaz bem brilhante, tem cola glitter lá na estante, no topo da estante tem um tanto de cola glitter.
Legal.
Quando é que é essa que tem que fazer essa cartaz?
Ah, eu esqueci o nome. Ah, demorou, na verdade. Agora, quando saiu, agora tá indo. Ah.
Já deu pra diferença de ontem para hoje.
Ela não fica sem luz, ela tem uma luz que fica sempre acesa aqui. Mas é uma flor, uma flor da cor do FSS, que não é exatamente roxo, é tipo um lilazinho. Tá tudo certo aqui, é só te mostrar aqui a música para tirar e colocar.
Sim.
Tá no YouTube, música. E tá aqui. E apresentação. Deixa eu fechar essa janela. Apresentação. Ok?
Aí para eu tirar a música, eu só dou um mask.
Eu gosto de fazer alt tab.
Tá. Ah, porque aí aparece todos os que tá aberto.
Mas você pode fazer Ctrl ESC também, que aparece aqui. Deixa eu ver aqui.
Não, eu gostei do alt tab também.
Okay.
Tá, então o alt tab, aí eu posso dar pausa. A música alt tab de novo e volta para a apresentação.
Isso.
Tá. Beleza. Qualquer coisa eu
Acho que só eu sofro,
Os res. De encarnado, né?
Ok, gente, boa noite.
Obrigada. Tem muito conteúdo.
Saiu você.
De encarnado. De encarnado. Então vamos fazer isso. Vamos fazer a nossa disseminação. Dear Lord, our Father, dear Jesus, our Master, we are thankful for the opportunity to be here today. We are thankful to be capable, physically capable, to be here. We thank you for the blessings that you shower upon us every single day, for the learning opportunities that you give us. We thank Jesus, our model and guide, for the example he came to give us. And we thank the mentors of our spiritual house who are here illuminating, inspiring, and helping us stay on the path of evolution, of learning, of loving. May today's meeting be very fruitful, and may we leave here today with our will stronger than it was when we came in, so that we can change all the necessary things in order to continue on our journey to evolution. So be it. Okay, so let's see if I can manage this. There. Oh, I did it. Okay. Whoops. No, back. Okay. Now it's for you, okay. So, how can we practice loving our neighbors as we love ourselves? You are the only one to answer it here today. Oh, Moa might stay with Eric.
The last one's for right.
So, how can we practice loving our neighbors as we love ourselves? Because we know we are supposed to, right? Morning. So we know we are supposed to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. Morning. Hi, morning. But how do we practice there? How do we get there? How do we do it? We know we're supposed to do it, but how do we do it? Yeah? How can we practice loving our neighbors as we love ourselves? No? Exactly what we're going to see today. So we're just going to read first the passage in the Bible where Jesus says that. One of them, an expert in the law, tested him, Jesus, with this question. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two. So this is from the Gospel of Matthew chapter 22, verses 35 to 40. So when Jesus says, love God above all else and your neighbor as yourself, these are the two commandments. So how do we love our neighbor as we love ourselves? Maybe the real question is, do we love ourselves first? Because sometimes we confuse self-love with pride, with being proud of ourselves. Pride is not the same as love, is it? No, definitely not. So in the book Amor Imbatível Amor, Love, Unbeatable Love, Joana de Angelis says, love cannot be imposed, but developed, trained, when it doesn't happen spontaneously. Sometimes love happens spontaneously. Sometimes we have to develop, we have to work on it. Some people are easier to have a natural loving feeling towards them than others, right? Would you agree with that? It's easier to love some people compared to others, isn't it? Yes. So that's what she says. So when it doesn't happen spontaneously, it can't be imposed. I can't tell myself I have to love that person because Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. So I have to. And I need to make myself do it. That's not love. Because it can't be imposed. Yourself love someone just like you can't make anybody else love you. But we can develop slowly and constantly. And we can train ourselves to love people who are a little bit harder to love. My mom always says that it's very easy to love nice people, the challenging ones. And she was talking about her own children. So, yeah. Whoops.
With the hard one.
Yeah. I don't know, the hard one might be watching now, so better not. So the synthesis proposed by Jesus around love is one of the most beautiful psychotherapies, sorry, it was supposed to be plural, psychotherapies known to man. Love all things and your neighbor as yourself. This is a harmonic trilogy. Loving God above all, our neighbors, and ourselves. But because it's impossible for us to fully love God, why is it impossible for us to love God above all else? Because we don't even understand God. Our minds, our intelligence, our intellects are not developed enough for us to understand God, first of all. How can you love something you don't understand? So, because it's impossible for men to fully love God, since they find it difficult to understand the absolute, they, meaning us, men, fulfill this need of loving God by inverting the order of the teaching, loving themselves first in order to develop the abilities that are latent within them. Latent means it's dormant, it's sleeping inside of us. We need to wake it up. It's like a seed inside of us, watered and nurtured and taken care of so that it can grow. So we have it in there, access it. We need to nurture it so that it grows. It's loving their neighbor, so loving ourselves first, then our neighbor, as a natural result of self-love, because their neighbor is an extension of themselves. Why is our neighbor an extension of ourselves? We are all creatures of God, perfect, right? As much as the idea might not sound pleasant, Trump is an extension of me, no matter how much I disagree with him. Right? I don't know, my mother-in-law could be, right, an extension of me, no matter how much I prefer her in Brazil. Right? So it's this understanding. So first, we need to understand ourselves and love ourselves, because then it means that we understand every God's creature as an extension of ourselves, because we are all part of the universe. We are all God's creations. And finally, loving God. So ourselves, our neighbors, and finally loving God. In an incomparable transcendence in which love surpasses all other emotions and is responsible for all other actions. And this is a free translation because this book was not officially translated into English. So this is my free translation of it. So it's from the book Love, Unbeatable Love, Amor Imbatível Amor, by Joana de Angelis. So if we need to love ourselves first, what is to love yourself? How do we love ourselves? How do we know if we are loving ourselves? If we're not confusing love with pride. Oh, come on, it's Sunday morning. I got out of bed, I came here, come on. Help me out here. What do you think? What do you think you would feel when you love yourself?
You accept yourself the way you are, your good things and your bad things.
Okay, close to what I'm looking for. Is it the accept when you find an excuse saying, I am what I am, that's it, so be it? What kind of acceptance? More specifically. Because we people, we're tricky. We're very tricky. Sometimes we use something as simple as accept yourself, and then we turn it completely around and say, I am what I am. Love me or hate me, whatever. I'm not going to change. So accepting yourself can be interpreted in different ways. So it is accepting yourself, but how? It's when you have the feeling, the acceptance being the feeling that you are, right? This is just a body. We are not permanently these people. We are these people temporarily, circumstantially. We were other people before, we will be other people after. The only thing that stays is the spirit, is the immortal spirit. The feeling that we are accepting yourself as a creation of God, part of the universe, and accepting yourself as an apprentice of life. Not the I am what I am, love me or hate me, you met me like this, I'm not going to change. It's the I'm here to learn. I accept all my limitations right now. However, as I learn with all my experiences throughout my life, I evolve. I try not to make the same mistakes. So I accept my limitations, but I understand that I'm capable of being always better, always improving, always going beyond. So it's not a passive acceptance, but it's a proactive acceptance. I am what I am right now. Tomorrow I want to be better than I am today, and I want to keep moving on being better and better. I accept I can't be perfect like this, but I will keep working on it. So that's when we love ourselves, when we have this understanding. Now, back in September, we have every month, just for you to understand, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Zara.
Zara? Zara. Zara.
Yep.
Okay. Every month, Zara, we have like a virtue of the month that we try to work with that virtue for the whole month. And back in September, it was love. So we talked endlessly about self-love. So this was just an introduction so we can understand how we're moving on from self-love to love our neighbors, okay? And this month it's charity, and treat others the way you would want to be treated. So this is what this is all about. So in the Spirit's book, someone took from here. Oh, no. Sorry, big mouth. So in the Spirit's book, question number 9, in the very beginning of the book, Allan Kardec asks the spirits, what proof have we that the first cause of all things, meaning God, is a supreme intelligence superior to all other intelligences? So, because the spirits told him, what is God? The first cause of all things, the supreme intelligence, superior to all other intelligence. And then he asks, what proof do we have of this? You're saying it, but where's the proof? And then the spirits answered, you have a proverb which says, the workman is known by his work. Look around you, and from the quality of the work, infer that of the workman. So from the quality of the work, understand the quality of the workman. Look at the universe. Look at our own planet. So that's the proof we have that God is a supreme intelligence superior to all other intelligences. Now, this is all a work of God. So by deduction, we can reflect that we can only understand God according to our own capacity right now, according to our own skills and abilities right now. So the way we can understand God, reflect and analyze his work, what we see around us, what we understand from what we see, because there's so much we still don't understand. So we can understand God through these works. And what is God's greatest work? What's his biggest work? Us, our planet, Reagan. Moa gets an extra dessert. So what's God's biggest work? Mankind. What else? Exactly. Because if you think about biggest work in terms of how comprehensive it is, his laws, God's laws, apply to mankind, our planet, our solar system, our galaxy, the whole universe. So the biggest creation were the laws because they rule all he created. So the divine laws are God's greatest work, his greatest creation, because they keep the whole universe in balance, in harmony. Okay? And what is the greatest law? Because there are many divine laws. What's God's greatest law? Eric talked about this last week. We always talk about this. Come on. Zar is the only one who is excused from knowing that answer. Exactly. Yes. 3 desserts now. So the greatest law is the law of love, justice, and charity. Now, the dimension of love first applies to ourselves, like we were talking about self-love. So love first applies to ourselves. If we don't learn to love ourselves, we won't be able to love our neighbors or God. I can't give what I don't have. If I don't have it for myself, I can't give it. So whatever I'm giving is not really love. It might be a false feeling, a pseudo love. Because if I don't have enough, that it overflows me and spills to my neighbors and to God, then it's not real love. Now, the dimension of charity is the feeling we have towards our neighbors, towards others. So when our self-love overflows, we are able to extend it because we have enough for ourselves and enough for others. So the dimension of charity, of the greatest law, it's practiced by loving our neighbors, by treating them the way we would like to be treated. Is it always easy to do that? Okay. In terms of a concept, is it a simple or a complicated concept? The concept is very simple. The concept is very simple. Treat other people the way you like to be treated. Everybody understand that part. So simple concept. Is practicing it easy? No. Is it difficult? No, it's not, because we understand the concept. It's a simple concept. So it's not difficult to practice, but it takes what? Come on.
Hard work.
Hard work, because it's something that it's not done once or twice and I'm good. It's hundreds of times every single day. When my husband or my wife annoys me or asks me for something I don't want, or tells me you're leaving breadcrumbs on the floor, or when my children are driving me insane, or when my boss is rude to me, or when the people I manage are not working properly. It's hundreds of times a day. If we are not hermits in a cave, if we live in a society treating everybody around us the way we would like to be treated, is a constant exercise. Hundreds and hundreds of times every single day. So everything, and what is a good criteria? And then you ask. For example, Moa, I'm gonna beat you up to death here. For example, Moa doesn't like chocolate. So when I say, do unto others as you would have others do unto you, Moa doesn't like chocolate. He's not gonna give chocolate to anybody. Is that the concept? Is that the idea? What we need to ask ourselves, so if, when in doubt, if I'm not sure if I'm treating the other the way I would like to be treated, all I need to do is ask myself 3 questions based on this major law. And those questions are, what I'm about to do to the other person, is this action loving to me and everybody else? Because sometimes, in order to please others, we do something that is not good for ourselves. So in order for an action to be good, it has to be, so going back. So it has to be loving to ourselves and to others. Okay? Yeah. So is it loving to me and everybody else? Or am I doing something that is not good for me just to look good in everybody else's eye? So it's going to be loving for me, to me first, and then everybody else. Is it fair to me and everybody else? And here we're talking about the justice on the top. And here we come to the, is it loving to me and everybody else? If Moa doesn't want to give me chocolate because he doesn't like chocolate, but he knows I'm a chocoholic, is it fair that he doesn't want to give me chocolate? Is it fair to me? It might be to him because he hates it. But is it fair to me? And then finally, I need to ask, is it charitable to myself and everybody else? And if asking myself all of those questions, if the answer is yes to all of them, green light. I go ahead and proceed and do whatever I was thinking of doing, because if it's loving, fair, and charitable, it's according to God's laws. And if the answer is no, we need to make an effort to change our choices. If what we're going to do to the other person is not loving, fair, or charitable, if I say no to any of the above, then I need to rethink my choices. I need to rethink my actions so that whatever I do, yes to all three questions, right? And if we are not sure, even after all those questions, we're still not sure, the ultimate simple question. So would I want the other person to do that to me? How would I feel if I were in the receiving end of my own action? So that should clear all doubts and questions. Now, during the process of evolution, when we cultivate pleasure for pleasure, when we cultivate selfishness, when we cultivate pride, we go into a temporary state of unconsciousness, a kind of unconsciousness. And what we do is we numb, a gente amortece, we numb our conscience. And then we get to the, I am what I am, love me or hate me, I don't care, whatever, I'm not gonna change for you, for anybody else. So in this, when we say that kind of thing, we are numbing our conscience. Because deep inside, we know that we can be better. We're just too lazy to work on it, right? And then we allow our selfishness to determine our relationship with other people. It's all about me. It's what I like, it's what I want, I am what I am. You met me like this, don't try and change me. It's all about me. The whole world revolves around me. So I put my conscience in a little box and close it because I can't take it out. It stays in there. I can't get rid of my conscience, but I can numb it. I can lock it in a small box and throw the key away until I have to open it, until suffering makes me realize that, hey, I've been doing the same thing the same way. Nothing is getting better. Maybe I need to change something here. And when that happens, this connection that we have with other people is based not on love, but on dislove. And dislove is not hate. And I will explain why. So it's not that I hate someone, but I just don't love. And it can come with different actions and feelings. So this love can cause us to feel indifferent towards other people, the I don't care attitude. And sometimes it can even cause us to be cruel to other people because it's all about me. If it doesn't interest me, if it's not good to me, you have to pay for it. You did something that I didn't like. Oh, poor you. Because I'm going to get back. I'll get back at you. And you're doomed. I can't say that word. So And this is the dis-love. So it's not that I hate the person, but I want the person to suffer. Because how dare they not fulfill all my wants and needs? I'm the center of the universe, right? So what do we need to do in order to do to others what we want, what we would have them do to us? What actions do we need to take? Where do we need to go? What do we need to do? Other people the way we want to be treated. I kind of get the answer already in that whole blah, blah, blah. What can't be numb? What can't I lock in a box? Exactly. My conscience. The only way I can treat other people the way I want to be treated is if I don't numb my conscience. Is if I don't say, whatever, I am what I am. I need to develop my conscience, because that is going to give me the understanding, like we were saying before, that my neighbor, that others are an extension of me. They hurt like me. They bleed like me. They want to be happy like me. They're trying to learn just like I am. But only if we develop our conscience. Otherwise, we just go on to selfishness. We just go to the, it's all about me. So here we have a little visual to help us. We have pseudo love, which kind of looks like love, but it's not. Remember, if we don't have self-love, we can't give it. So we look nice, so nice. I really don't like that word because it can mean so many things, right? When you do something wrong and someone looks at it and says, oh, nice work. So the word now, oh, that lady is nice. Ooh, that hurts. You're either good or you're not. But that person is nice doesn't mean much. This love, which is obviously not love, it doesn't look like love at all, because pseudo love looks like love, but it isn't. It's just me trying to compensate something else, and we're going to talk about it. This love is me being cruel or indifferent, so obviously not love. And we have love itself, the essential love. So when we talk about, let's talk first about this love. This picture shows us something. This love is closer to love, and pseudo love is further. Do you have any idea why? I said that this love is closer to love than pseudo love. Why? Why is pseudo love further away from love than this love?
Because pretend to be love, but it's not love. Love is positive. This love is negative, but the other one just pretend to be, but it's not. It's not negative, not positive. It's just fake.
It's harder to realize.
You're black or you're white, but in the middle is far the opposite way.
Because it looks like love, we can stay in that state for hundreds of incarnations because we fool ourselves to think that it is love because we're nice, right? We're nice people. So it's further away from love because it's harder to realize that it's not love when this love is super obvious. So it's easier to change from something that is obvious than to change from something that looks like it, but it's not. So this is why it's further away. When we talk about this love, when we talk about cruelty, violence, disrespect, aggressiveness, resentment, revenge, hate, they are all forms of cruelty. The way we treat other people. Do we treat other people with violence, with disrespect, with aggressiveness? Because unconsciously, somehow, we want that person to suffer because it makes us feel better. We think, right? We think that if the other person is beneath us, we are above, so we are so much better because they're down there, we're up here. So that's the feeling of cruelty. Why do we attack someone? Why are we aggressive towards someone? It's a dominance thing. I'm bigger, greater, better than you. Disrespect. Why do we disrespect someone? Because we think we're better than them. When we talk about indifference, so passiveness, not caring about what could happen to other people. So indifference is when I only care about my own well-being. And I ignore everybody else's needs and well-being because they don't matter. Only I matter. I'm the center of the universe after all. But in reality, it's a false feeling. It's a false sense because nobody can be truly well when we are causing other people harm. We might have that brief moment of satisfaction, but can you be the happiest person on earth on a family where everybody fights and yells and call each other names and you are part of that? Can you be completely happy? We can't be happy causing other people harm. So it's a false feeling of superiority. Because true love means that we want others to be well as well. Only when everybody is well, we are well too. So all of us, whoops, no, yeah, what do I do? Okay, and then after those two, after cruelty and indifference, and here we're talking about several incarnations. Okay, let's think about Middle Ages, Inquisition, Roman Empire. We were between cruelty and indifference. Cruelty and indifference, because this is not our first rodeo, right? By the contrary. So we were between those two. And after so many incarnations of numbing our conscience in those first two, comes guilt. And we start feeling a conscience anxiety because we feel guilty. Because I know I've been cruel. I know I've been indifferent. I know I've seen people suffer and didn't do anything about it. Maybe not consciously, but subconsciously, I still carry that in me. I have those feelings in me. And that causes me to be guilt. And then I want to do the opposite. I want to go from cruelty and indifference to loving, to doing everything for everybody. I need to be good, I need to be good, I need to be good. I've been bad too long. Now I need to make up for it. I need to be good, I have to be good, I must be good. So we have all been in the cruelty or indifference stage for centuries, more or less intense. Of course, it depends on the person and the choices that we made. But right after this long period, guilt starts eating us alive. And that's when we move on to pseudo-love. Because if we still don't love ourselves, we don't have that love to give. But the feeling that I have to be good, I have to do something for other people, brings the pseudo-love. I have to be nice. So it's the obligation to love our neighbors. So it's the masked face of the ego. It's my pride, it's my selfishness that wants to look good. So I put on my mask, I do charity and I volunteer and I make sandwiches and I give clothes to poor people and oh my Lord, I do everything I can because I want to save the world. And this is pseudo-love. This is sentimentalism. It's a feeling of pity, a desire to solve others' problems. I don't see the poor person as an extension of me. I feel sorry for him or her because I have so much. Oh, they have nothing. That's not real charity. It's our ego, it's our pride saying, oh, I'm so well up here. Oh, poor creatures down there. And we want to save them. And yeah, I'll take as many refugees in my house as you have. Come on, bring them on, send them down. We're going to sit down and have dinner. And again, it's not that we shouldn't do it, but we need to reflect. We need to think. What are our reasons? Is it real love? Or is it pseudo love? Is it me trying to make up for all the bad I did in the past? And the only person who can answer that question is ourselves, yes. Nobody can tell me that. I need to reflect. I need to come to my own conclusions, right? And pseudo virtues, pseudo love, pseudo charity, pseudo everything, they are so easy to develop because you do one thing here, one thing there. I give clothes, I do this, I do that. I'm done. A Mother Teresa. But real virtues, real love, real charity, real everything, they only come with hard work. Only with hard work. It's not just, I'm going to do one thing here and there. I'm going to treat my neighbor the way I want to be treated today. Tomorrow, I don't feel like it. Like they're getting on my nerves. I'm done with these people. I have treated them the way I want to be treated. Enough. They don't deserve it. Like I'm a good judge, right? To say what people deserve or don't deserve. So those are pseudo virtues. They are not real. But there is a way we can turn the virtues that are not real into real virtues. How can we do that? How can I do that? When we talk about charity, so what do we need to do? Do we need to solve people's problems? Do we need to be responsible? Like, I feel like I've done a lot of bad things to add on in a past life. So what do I do now? I solve his problems. I do everything I can do for him just to ease my conscience because my guilt's eating me alive. Is that what I do? We need to understand that we have our own problems to solve. We can help other people to help themselves. That we can and we should do, and that's real charity. The whole concept of teaching to fish instead of giving the fish. Because when we give the fish, we create a dependence relationship. So we just move from cruelty and indifference to having someone attached to us hanging all the time. And that's not charitable either. We're not helping that person. We're just changing the problem. Instead of being cruel, we're making that person dependent on us. Our pride loves it. However, it's not a good thing for us or for the person. So we need, whatever we do to help people, we need to always keep our individuality and respect their individuality as well. right? We need to help them develop the responsibility for themselves, because we are all responsible for our own lives. We can't be responsible for anybody else's life. We have enough problems of our own to deal with. So help is one thing. Giving a hand is one thing. Caring is something else. So how can we change those feelings? Is there like, what is the right way to treat our neighbors? I can't be cruel, I can't be indifferent. I can't carry them in my arms. So what's the right way of doing it? How do we get there? There's a technique. It's a psychological technique that can help us. And I can say it helps me. Renata's tired of hearing about it this morning. It's called Parda technique. And it works both for Portuguese and English, believe it or not. And each letter, it's just an acronym to help us remember what's the order for the technique. So P stands for perception or acknowledgement. A for acceptance, R for reflection, D for decision, and the last A for action. So perception, acceptance, reflection, decision.
You're gonna ask us next session.
No, I'm not gonna ask you. This is for you to practice. Oh, Lord. You're not taking a test. Don't worry. Life is test enough. So perception, acceptance, reflection, decision, and action. So that is what's going to help us change. So let's see what each one means. So perception is the first step in the process of changing, because we can't change something we don't realize. It's the stage of self-awareness. It's important to pay attention to the following issues. That's the awakening our conscience portion. This perception is supposed to be kind, free of right and wrong judgment. And here comes the accepting ourselves. I'm not going to beat myself up, and I'm not going to go, oh, whatever, that's how I am. I will realize that I had a feeling that I shouldn't be having, but I'm not going to judge if it's right or wrong. That's not what matters. It's necessary to understand the difference between your idealized self and your real self, because we always think we are better than we really are. And sometimes we go from thinking that we're better to thinking we suck. We're trash. We're garbage. Sometimes we keep going back and forth. Some people sometimes stay more in one, more in the other. But throughout our evolution, we go through the pendulum thing. I rock, I suck. I rock, I suck. So it's very important that we understand that who I think I am is not who I am. So I need to stop and reflect about my feelings. Acceptance. After perception, we are invited to fully, lovingly, and unconditionally accept the egotistic movements responsible for our limitations. Acceptance is a proactive virtue that requires an exercise of humility in order for us to recognize our limitations. It's necessary to accept that we are still imperfect. Therefore, it's necessary to exercise humility and compassion in order to accept our limit. Oh, sorry, it's repeated there. I'm sorry. So one thing that is important, what can I do to change this limitation? So I realized I had a negative feeling that I shouldn't be having. I accept that that's part of who I still am. It's one of my limitations. Now, what I need to ask myself is, What can I do to change this limitation? And there's a whole chapter about this in Jesus Modelo e Guia da Família. It hasn't been translated into English. What languages do you speak? Okay, so it hasn't been translated yet, but I know it's in the works. Translating is Jesus' model and guide for the family. So there's a whole chapter about accepting our limitations, seeing ourselves as apprentices of life. We are going to make mistakes, yes, but we can go back and correct them next time. It's not the end of the world. Then comes the next step, So what can I do to change this limitation? Reflect, think about it. In this stage of the process, we will be answering the previous questions. So what can we do to change? We are invited to reflect fully and consciously upon the questions we realized in the perception stage, upon our self-judgment, perfectionist, self-blame, excuses, and mental laziness that we insist on feeding. This whole virtue thing is too much work. I'll do it next life. I'm good, I'm done. I'll leave it for later. So this mental laziness has been killing us for several incarnations. So, let's get out of that. Let's break the vicious cycle. Then comes the D, decision. After reflecting, our own conscience invites us to make a decision about what to do to start working on resignifying or giving a new meaning to our egotistic movements. Resignification, or giving a new meaning, requires a firm decision towards making all necessary efforts and gradually replace the egotistic movement we are working on with the loving essential movement. So if I'm working on my selfishness, it's going to be replaced with what? So if what I'm trying to change is a feeling of, let's make it easy. If I'm trying to change is a feeling of pride, what would be the essential feeling that would replace the feeling of pride? Because pride comes from my ego, not from my spirit, not from my essence. So what's the opposite of pride? Humbleness. Yes, humility, humbleness. So I need to make the efforts to gradually change from pride into humbleness. Due to the hard work it takes to carry out the change of habit, we are invited to develop strong and determined willpower towards change. I'll start tomorrow. Right? It's like a diet. I'll start tomorrow. So it's a lot of hard work, and we need determination, strong willpower in order to get there. And then comes the action. Once we've made the decision to change, it becomes essential to consciously act in order to slowly and gently replace the egotistic movement, for example, pride, with the proactive essential movement, humbleness. The action of changing will go through 4 stages. So we've already done the PARDA. When we get to the action happens in 4 stages. And I think you will be able to recognize all these stages. The first stage is the acknowledgement of an egotistic movement we are working on appears after its manifestation. So my perception, the first P, only happens after I've already bragged about all the stuff that I have and how good I am. My pride is right there, bright and shiny. So I only realize after I've done it. It's a learning accomplishment stage where we learn from our mistakes. I have already made the mistake. I realize it. And then I go through the ARD A, and I'm gonna act, of course, for next time. The second stage, perception starts during the manifestation of the egotistic movement. So while I'm bragging, I realize, oh, I'm bragging. Making it possible for the individual to analyze it better in order to overcome or even change it. So it had, like I can try and change subject and la. That's not what I meant. Third stage, perception starts before the manifestation of the egotistic movement. So before I start bragging, I'm like, do I really need to tell everybody I have a new car? Do people care? Does everybody need to know? Making it possible for the individual to choose not to do it through proper use of our free will. Because we realize it before we do it, doesn't mean we're not going to do it. Sometimes we just go and do it anyway. So when we get to the third stage, and different egotistic feelings that we have could be in completely different stages here. Like I could be further ahead with humbleness than I am with patience, for example. Patience, I'm still in the first stage. It's only after I've lost my temper that I realize I've done it. So we could be at completely different stages with all kinds of feelings that we have, because we're here to learn. But then again, when we get to the third stage with whatever feeling that we need to change, we can still choose to go ahead and do it anyway. Of course, it makes us more responsible because we know we know it's wrong. But we have our free will. We can still go ahead and do it. But it's important that we get to the stage where we truly realize what we're doing. And then the fourth stage. The individual starts to realize that the manifestation of the egotistic movement that we are working on will become more and more sparse until the change is completed, when there are no more manifestations, because the egotistic feeling was transformed into an essential virtue. I transformed my pride into humbleness. I transformed my rage into meekness. I transformed whatever needs to be transformed into what I need for my own happiness. So I'll just give an example when we talk about charity. So let's say I have volunteer work to do at the Spiritist Center, at the food drive, at the YWCA, it doesn't matter. I have volunteer work to do. But it's a super hot day. I live in a lake community. Like, if I don't go today, who cares, right? Like, going to the lake is so much more fun. It's just once. It's so much more fun than volunteering, than, coming to work with the kids here. So this here, I am in the indifference. Who cares? Whatever. It's just one day. Nobody's gonna miss me. Then after we have the guilt, the other thing that we do that is like the opposite is we can think, today's a hot day. I could go to the lake. It's a lot more fun, but I have to volunteer. Like, poor people are counting on me. The kids are counting on me. What are they gonna do without me? I have to go. It sucks, but I have to go. And this is the pseudo-love. This is the sentimentalism. This is the, I have to go. Ugh. Now, going through the Parda technique, go back. Well, the real thought that we should be having is, today's a hot day. I would absolutely love to go to the lake. I know it would be more fun. I know it would be relaxing. However, I have a commitment. The world is not going to end if I don't go. But it's not about them. It's about how good it is for me to do that. To fulfill all the things that I said I was going to do. I can go to the lake another day. I can go to the lake another time. Today, I am needed where I said I was going to be. It's a completely different thought from, it sucks, or from, whatever, it's just today, I'm not going. So again, it's our conscience. It's when we access our conscience and we consciously understand that it's not the most fun thing, but it's the best thing for me. Because it teaches me, because it helps me help someone else. Any questions or comments? And this is something that I do once, twice, 10 times, 20 times. Yeah? Is that enough? This was taken from the book Therapeutic Invitations from Jesus by Alirio. And in the book, when he talks about the fourth stage, he says that hardly anybody in our evolutionary state reaches the fourth stage in one incarnation. And that is working on it. On and on and on and on and on, accessing my conscience 2,000 times a day, everybody around me, treating everybody the way I would like to be treated. So if it takes that long when we're working super hard on it, can you imagine how long it takes when we're just like, I'll start on Monday. So it takes continuous, patient efforts, a lot of willpower, and accessing our conscience. Not having the moral laziness, the mental laziness, I'll do it next incarnation, I'll start Monday. Oh, I'm too young, I'll think about it when I'm older. I don't want to be like treated in a bad way until people decide they're ready to treat me the way they want to be treated. I want to be treated well right now. But for that, I need to start, right? First with self-love. Then when I'm overflowing, when I have enough for me and everybody else, I extend it to my neighbors. And then I will finally learn to love God above all things. Because they are all together. It's a trilogy. It's all, one is the extension of the other. More comments, more questions? More. You haven't said anything. No, nothing? No? Some food for thought? A feast for thought. All right. So I think I need to check with Eric if the kids have something to show before we do the final prayer in the classes. just finishing the principles. I'm sorry, Zara. We have a lot of like jargons from this project we work with. So like egotistic movements and things that might not make a whole lot of sense at first, but yeah. Yes, exactly. After a few, it is. It is. Because they are like psychological expressions and concepts that come straight from psychology. So like when you look at the words, they don't make a lot of sense. But
I
after
remember,
a few times, yeah.
I remember my first classes. I said, I like the idea, but I didn't sample it yet all.
Yes. Yeah, because yeah, you really need to put the blocks together and like,
First I start with, and then I take the general concept and then.
okay. Now I get it. Then it clicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have the book in English, but if anybody wants to read, like this is 10% of what is in the chapter I used from the book. I'll get it to show you. And we have it in the library if anybody wants to borrow.
Hey. Come on. Let's show what you have done.
You're to start today, Sophie.
She did it all alone. She was the big girl of the day.
You rock.
Yay! We did our banner of the month. What is this, Sophie? Do you remember what is this?
Terry.
Okay. Do you remember what Jesus said about charity?
What?
Do to others
Did to others
what you would have them
when you then
do to you.
with you.
It's the golden rule.
This is the golden rule.
Yeah, good job. All right.
Excellent, Sophie. Thank you.
Yay.
Great job.
Okay. Now you go with tinha humor que a gente vai fazer.
Okay, so it was taken from this book. It's the second chapter. It's a very long chapter. It has so much more information than I could fit in here. So I recommend to everybody. And like I said, we have it in the library. So let's do our final prayer. Let's close our eyes. Dear Lord, thank you for one more Sunday that our friends in the flesh and in spirit does. Thank you for one more opportunity of learning from the gospel of Jesus, from the teachings he came to give us. We ask the mentors of our spiritual house to help enlighten us and guide us so that we are able to reflect, to use our discernment, and use our free will properly, without any prejudice to ourselves or to our neighbors. May we have a blessed week. So be it. Okay, thank you very much for being here today, for taking time of your Sunday. We still have Christmas cards, handmade Christmas cards for sale out there. Tomorrow we'll have our meeting in Portuguese.
It's going to be a special meeting.
Yes.
Talking about charity.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so virtual of the month, so it's going to be a very, very special. And so far, we only have the book club in Portuguese, but you can come and learn some Portuguese. We can actually discuss it. Actually, we have the book in English. So if you want to participate in the club, we still have it in English here, and we can discuss it in English. Even if we can read it in Portuguese and discuss it in English, and if you want to, we have it in English here as well. It would be awesome to have an English speaker participating. The meeting is going to be Saturday, January 20th, so we have more than a month to read, and it's not a very long book, but it's beautiful. It's an amazing book. Can you think of any more?
Yes, next Sunday.
Oh, yes! Next Sunday, we have our Christmas lunch, but we'll...
Special meeting.
Mm-hmm. But we're gonna have a meeting on Monday, right? So no meeting on Monday. So next Sunday we wrap up our activities for 2017. So we would love to see everybody here for the special meeting and then for the lunch. The lunch is gonna be somewhere else, but we can all go together, and whoever is not driving, we have lots of people that we can pull with, and it's all good. But it's welcome.
Say that again, sorry.
What?
It's not here anymore?
It's not here?
No, it's at the community center. We had it last time because it's open.
Ah.
It's not only for members. It's open to the public. It's an open event to the public. So anybody can come to our Christmas lunch. And everybody, of course, is more than welcome to come participate in the meeting first, and then we can all go together to the location, who is actually very close to here.
No mesmo lugar da festa.
Isso.
Sim.
Isso.
Aí mesmo.
Close to the university.
Yes, it's very close to here, so it's like, I don't know, 10 minutes, not even that. And we can all go together. So we would love to see everybody here next Sunday as well, for both the meeting and for the lunch. And we can have some fun. Thank you very much, and have an amazing rest of your day.
Gostei muito da palestra dele.
Ah, thank you. But you understand Spanish? Okay.
Oh,
a little bit. I'm trying to learn.
Okay. Yeah, because Portuguese is not too far away from
Yeah.
Spanish. If you can understand some Spanish, you'll be able to understand some Portuguese too.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for coming. It was great having you. My pleasure. Thank you, Seattle.
Boa semana.
Pra você também. Are you coming next Sunday? And for lunch? Amanhã vai ter palestra. Então, vai ter palestra especial sobre caridade.
Também para o norte.
Perfeito.
Para o norte é a última palestra do ano.
Vai ser o último do ano, vai ser o fechamento das atividades.
A última do ano e a última meta, né?
Por quê?
Eu tô indo embora no 26,
De novo?
já, mas não vou botar.
Ah, por onde você vai?
Primeiro eu vou para Toronto 5 dias para visitar o Jorge.
Aham.
E daí eu vou para México e vou viajar vou para Peru, Colômbia.
Legal.
Eu vou ficar para assim, 3, 4 meses.
Que legal.
E já depois, não
Você
sei.
tem com quem ficar no Brasil?
Eu tenho amigos. Vou viajar um pouco. E depois tomar a decisão se vou voltar ou se vou para outro lugar.
Você tem cidadania canadense?
Não, é precisamente por isso que eu tenho que sair.
Ah, você tem
Não.
que sair, entendi.
Depois,
Uhum.
olhar a ver o que eu faço aí. Mas